Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk, and this time I'm back at Parham House, and I'm back in the walled garden, but I'm in an orchard. Very kindly, Tom Brown took us around the walled garden in our last video. He's agreed, again, hello Tom, to do a similar thing, starting in the orchard, because there's so much to see.
Yes.
And I certainly encourage people to come along and see for themselves, because we can only just sort of touch a very small amount. But so Tom, you're the head gardener.
Yes.
And you're responsible for everything that we see.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, it is very resplendent. We are in the orchard.
Yes.
Can you tell us something about the orchard and the sort of things that you would find in your orchard?
Yeah, so this is an orchard. Our orchard is about 1 acre in size, and we've got trees of very different ages. So we've got trees behind us like this Newton Wonder here, which is planted. It was planted in the 1940s. We then had the storm of 87, and we lost a lot of trees then.
Yes.
So there's a group of trees just over there to my left, which was planted in 1989, and they were donated to Parham from the Worshipful Company of Fruiterers. So we've got a nice group of plants there. And over the last few years, I've worked very closely with the family and looked at their tastes and what they like to eat, and we planted her in the region of 40 to 50 different apple varieties that have now gone in here that are mainly dessert apples. So the collection of apples that we've now got in this orchard is very unique to Parham because it's based on the tastes of Lady Emma, her husband, and their 2 boys. But it's a traditional orchard in the sense that we've got a little bit of everything. So there's damson trees in here, there's a walnut, there's pears, there's quinces, but mainly apples because we're in quite a cold part of the garden, and apples tend to do much better in colder climates than say pears do.
Right, and I suppose we'll take a little stroll now, but I suppose that's the interesting thing about coming to an orchard in a large country house like this. Unlike the commercial orchards, which are rows and rows of one variety and then perhaps another variety and another load of rows, you've got here this eclectic and unique collection.
Very much, and we grow our apple trees on quite a vigorous rootstock, so all apple varieties are grafted onto a separate root system.
Right. And
a lot of commercial orchards and the trend for modern apples is to have quite a small tree because it's suitable for small gardens.
Oh, I see.
If you're picking and you don't need a ladder to pick it.
Yes, makes sense.
Whereas with us, we go for an M25 rootstock, which is a very big rootstock, because we want that traditional orchard looking tree, so a tree that you can walk underneath. And also our conditions here aren't that favourable, so in the winter it's very wet in the orchard, in the summer it's very dry, so with something with a bit more vigour it tends to give us a healthier tree as a response. So it's quite different, which is lovely.
Yes,
producing something that's slightly unique compared to the trend.
If people come, can they sample some of the fruit from the trees?
In the autumn we'll be picking all of the fruit, and we will also be selling some of the surplus fruit too, but we've got an apple event in the middle of October this year where we're going to have lots of experts here, and we're going to be celebrating the English apple.
Oh, fantastic. Now you have more interesting things, including your glass houses, which you're going to
come through.
Yes, and we're coming through some of this ancient wall into, I have to say, it's got some amazing artifacts here from the old days of farming. I just pan round there, you'll see some of those, and then into this amazing and splendid view, and it's absolutely jam-packed. What are you growing in here?
So these are lots of plants that won't tolerate a frost.
Right.
So this is our collection of plants that's suitable for growing under glass. So we've got mainly pelargoniums, fuchsias, heliotropes, and sort of lots of climbing plants as well, which will run up the walls. So this goes down to about 5 degrees in the winter, and it goes very skeletal because we cut everything right back. And we keep the glasshouse very dry and very cold. From April onwards we start to feed, and we'll repot a number of the plants, but then we get this sort of tunnel effect that will then start to appear, and almost you've got to walk through this small tunnel of air through the centre of all the foliage, so it becomes really lush and opulent, particularly towards the end of the summer. But it allows us to grow a whole new range of plants that we wouldn't necessarily be able to grow if we didn't have these kind of conditions.
And I don't know if the microphone can pick that sound up. But I can hear the buzz of bees. Yeah, they must love it in here.
Yeah, very much so. So there's quite a lot of ventilation in this glasshouse, so they can access the glasshouse all the time. And absolutely, it's alive with bees who love all the pelargoniums and the fuchsias. They really work them well.
And visitors are allowed to come through here?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the varieties that we grow in here are quite old, that aren't necessarily available in cultivation so much now. So it's quite a role of preservation, really, just to sort of keep these old varieties going. And if gardens like us aren't preserving those old varieties, I don't know who would. So it's a real role for gardens like us to do that.
Gosh. And originally, I think you said that the glass house was in the shape of a large V, a large E.
That's it. So this was constructed in the 1920s. So when Clive Pearson bought the estate in 1922, he commissioned this glass house to be built by Mackenzie and Moncur, which are a Scottish glass house company, and they sort of built the Rolls Royce of glass houses. And this is a teak glass house that's probably about 30 metres in length, but this was the back corridor, which then three other glass houses radiated out from the left-hand side, where you'd grow things like orchids and vines and do some of your propagation. So in the 1980s, sadly, they were in a bad state of repair, so they were dismantled, but we maintained this corridor through the back, and now it's our main display feature. But it's a lean-to glass house, so you've got the wall on the right-hand side, and there's not many glass houses where you've got one of the sides of the glass house is walled and this lean-to effect. So it's a real privilege to be able to work in this. And you can see the cobbles through the glass house too, that many gardeners have walked up and down those cobbles over the years, and we
hallowed ground
very much. And we maintain the glass house now as it was, so all the fixtures and furnishings are all kept. So if we do have to replace one of the doors, for example, we put all the old hinges and all the old plates back on. Lady Emma's very keen to make sure that everything is as authentic and as it was as we can possibly do.
Fantastic. So that's another feature worth coming to have a look at. But you have a maze, don't you?
Yes.
And a slightly unusual maze.
Yes, you won't get lost in it, I don't think.
Let's go and have a look at that next. Okay. So we've moved along a little bit, just outside the wall of the walled garden, which is behind us. And you can hear the birds chirping away. We've got some beautiful yew trees shaped here. Is that topiary?
Yes, a bit of topiary. So we've got yew and the small box as well.
Box.
Trained in the art of topiary.
Passing some lime trees as well.
Yes.
Keeping my tree identification skills going in full leaf, which looks absolutely brilliant. And ahead of us, we have the unique, is it Victoria maze?
It's, yes, Miss Victoria, Veronica Tritton.
Veronica, I beg your pardon, yes.
Get that. Veronica Tritton. It was built, commissioned by her, and it's a brick and turf maze that's in the style of a piece of embroidery that's in the house.
A brick and turf maze, okay. And here is a picture of the maze that you can see. Now, ideally, I guess, to get the real vantage, I'd need a drone hovering above, or a bird's eye view of it. But shall we have a little wander around? So it's made of brick. I've not been on a brick. Well, maybe I have, but certainly not one as unique as this. This must go down well with children, I imagine.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, absolutely. It's another one of those sort of charming features that has been put in by the families here at Parham that make it very much a family home, and you get a sense of that as you walk around in the gardens, the house, and in the pleasure grounds here too, that very much the character of the families that live here, it sort of oozes through the whole place. Again, makes it unique and something rare nowadays.
Let's just wander down. I know it's not really your domain, but let's just wander down to the lake, because that's another beautiful feature, past this oak tree, which is thriving away, and we can finish off our little work here. How many gardeners do you have in your team?
So there's 6 of us full-time in total, including myself. And we're pretty full on at this time of year, as you can imagine.
Yes.
But we're responsible for the 4-acre walled garden, and then the 7 acres of pleasure grounds that we have that surround the walled garden, and the immediate areas around the house, the lawns outside the house. So there's plenty to keep us out of trouble. And in the pleasure grounds here, we've got a number of mature native trees, which we maintain, and also this lovely pleasure pond with the balustrade, and Cannock House, the picnic house here as well. And you can see the pleasure pond sort of arcs round to the right, so it gives the impression that it's a river that continues to run, but it's actually an isolated piece of water.
It's an isolated piece of water. Amazing. So we're coming close to the end of this, but Parham is open to the public from what? From when to
Normally
when?
from about Easter until the middle of October.
Yeah.
And we're closed on a Monday, Tuesday and Saturday, but open the rest of the week.
And it's most definitely worth coming along and just experiencing all those beautiful flowers, which, as you said before, many of the species are available in your nursery, which is fantastic. The winter time, I think you said, is where the real work is done.
Yeah.
And then in the summertime, you've got this onslaught of just maintaining everything.
Very much, and I think that's quite nice for visitors to see. Every year we go to work in the winter and make changes and alterations and revamp areas, so there's always something that's different every year. But in the summer, as you say, we are either mowing, watering, weeding, deadheading, picking beans or whatever, so we're not actually getting much chance to alter the garden or to evolve it.
Right.
Whereas the winter, where a lot of people think that gardeners go to the Bahamas for the winter and don't do a great deal, where actually that's the time of the most significant changes happen in the garden.
I can see you're very passionate about what you do. You clearly love your job.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to be, and there's people with a lot worse commutes and offices than I've got, so I'm very privileged, and also with working with Lady Emma and the family as well. They're very passionate about Parham and making sure that it maintains that kind of uniqueness and maintains a special place for lots of people to enjoy as much as them.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed my little whistle-stop tour around here, and I know you will too. So if you're in the area, then do come and visit. Tom, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed.
No, my pleasure. Till next time, where I'll be walking somewhere else, take care and see you then. Bye for now.